Hello everybody, welcome to the TraderMerlin show. It is your Tuesday edition. Man, it's been a packed Tuesday. Thank you, Eric, for the comments this morning. I was asked to do a crypto XLT session, kind of a general session this morning, which is a lot of fun, kind of setting the scope and parameters of what the whole ecosystem looks like. So a lot of fun, and thanks for the participation today, guys. I do appreciate that. Today's show will be driven predominantly from viewer questions. I had two questions specifically about scans and filters. As you guys may have noticed yesterday on the program, we looked at several candlestick formations. So we'll revisit those trades. No trades were made on my part, and I'll show you exactly why there were no trades made. But then I'll also show you on how you can almost double dip for tomorrow's trading session on one of those, as it has an even better shooting star on the second day. So hello, Kevin. Good to see you. Giselle, Terry, Ketut. We've got Jerry with us as well. Thomasina, good to finally have you back. Where have you been hiding? You have like a real job or something that you just that takes priority over this? Come on. I'm just kidding. Good to have you back, Thomasina. Eric, Mario, Jerry, Jimmy T, Big Ev, David Rostakor, Les, Alex, good to have you, Alex, and Kenny as well. So good to have everybody with us today. Did I make my Christmas present money today on shorting the markets? I did not. Nope, no shorting the markets today. I was actually had my mind set on one specific security today, and sometimes when I don't have a lot of time, I'll pick one or two that I really think are the ones, and I'll focus on those. And in this case, didn't quite pan out for me, which is fine. And by the way, happy birthday, Mr. Valentine. We got Brendan here. It's his birthday today, which he should be out celebrating, doing something fun, but he's torturing himself by joining on this show. So good to see you, Brendan, as well. We all gonna make it. Wag me! All right, so let me go and just start things off, and then we'll see how it goes today. If you do hear obnoxious dog barkings or me looking kind of awkward and preoccupied, it's because I have a brand new couch, and of course they said it's being delivered between 1:30 and 4:30, which means it'll probably happen dead center of the show today, and the dogs will go nuts, and I'll have to go open a door, and it'll be a mess, but we'll just live with it. The beauty of doing something live and in real time. All right, so you guys that have followed me for years, you know that I do scans and filters on the markets, and I'm not going to make this whole show specifically about filtering the markets. I'm actually going a little bit deeper and going more specific into certain markets. So the question, there's two of them. The first question that came up was from Justin. It says, do you have a specific set of scans you run each day? Can you share them? Well, I can't really share a scan per se, like the code. I mean, I don't code anything. They're built into different platforms. But I'll give you, I'll start high level, and then I'll work down into kind of the little details of it. And this is one of the reasons, I hate to say it, one of the reasons that I really like TradeStation is because TradeStation has great filters and scans. You can buy them at other sites, but TradeStation has them for free. So I will show you here, and I'll just do one very quickly from scratch. We'll go insert, and I will insert a symbol list, and we'll just whittle it down from there. So let's say we want to do something on the NASDAQ 100, right? So TradeStation has a bunch of built-in symbol lists, like the index components, NASDAQ indexes, and NASDAQ 100. And of course, I can show you guys how to import things later on. It's very, very, very simple to do. So when I click on that, you guys notice that now I've got 104 stocks, because apparently the NASDAQ 100 has 104 stocks in it. I will do you guys all a big favor here, and I will format this page and make the font considerably larger so we don't have to squint and stare obnoxiously at our screen. And that should, there we go. That should pretty much give you a huge watch list of different stuff. So there's 100 different securities on this list. Actually 104. I'll take out the index header. We'll probably get down to 102. So I don't spend a lot of time with all this data here, like bid, ask, high, low. I could care less. So most of this stuff can just disappear for me. But what I do like to do is I'm always concerned from my watch list perspective about volume. So as you guys know, I will add in two different fields here. And again, this is the very high level, and then I'll work our way down to specific patterns and candlestick formations. So I'll add in two different analysis techniques, which hopefully will pop up here. First one I want is average true range, which is ATR. There you go, average true range. We'll add that one in. The second one that I like to look at is going to be volume, but I want to make sure it's the average volume, which is volume AVG right here. And that should do it for right now. So I've added in those two fields. So unfortunately, it takes an eon for this to happen, the scan and filter to go through. Scan this, everything. I just was watching a great George Costanza Seinfeld episode last night. It was actually really, really good. All right, let me see real quick. I just got a message. Great, they're going to be here in 10 minutes. Love it. Here in 10. Sorry, guys. I'm gotta text this out real quick. Okay. So now that I've got these up on the screen, I want to make sure I'm looking at the proper numbers. So as you guys can see here, it shows average volume. Like, okay, cool. The problem is I have this set on a 5-minute time frame, right? So I like to look at everything from a daily time frame perspective. So I'm going to change my time interval here, and I'm going to go out to daily. And you notice that all the volume numbers are going to change. Simple, easy, no big deal. And then, of course, I want to make sure that I have liquidity. And I'll be honest, I don't care about companies. When I'm trading stocks, I really don't care about companies. I actually make sure that there's no biotech or pharmaceuticals that I trade. But other than that, who cares, right? We're just trading it, something that's going to move up or down. That's the simplest I can make it. So on this watch list, I'm just going to average volume. And this is going to show me what the average volume is per day. So you see here I've got these BKNG, ANSS. These are all under 1 million shares. I personally like to go to 1.5 million. So out of this, I'm getting rid of Biogen, ASML, Checkpoint Software, Align Technology. I'm getting rid of a lot of stuff here, but I don't care. Because even though I started... Oh, there's going to be even more than that. Unfortunately, my watch list is not loading. Even though there's a lot more than that, I'll still find myself with some trading or investing opportunities. So... I'm not going to have the time it takes to do this because it's just, for some reason, TradeStation's scan is always wonky like this. But let's just do it from there. I'll get rid of those two. And then what I'll do from that point is once I make sure I have the volumes that I want, which is over 1.5 million average per day, I sort by price. And the main reason for that is I want to make sure that... nothing is under $5. Of course, there's almost nothing on the NASDAQ under $5 anymore, so it doesn't really matter. But I would normally sort by price here. You can see Siri trading at $6.18. So that's for good measure. Just kick Siri out. And then one more update on our watch list here. And now I've whittled it down even further. And with the data I have, it's still loading up a whole bunch. But I've now whittled it down to at least 79, probably less than that. How would you do this with TradingView? I don't think you can do this in-depth of a scan in TradingView. So what I would do is I would try to create it somewhere else and import them in. You can import watch lists. And that's kind of what I showed you guys in the past. I have watch lists that I've created, and I just copy over the symbols, drop them in, or recreate them from scratch. So once I have this watch list, I'm going to go to there. Then I feel more comfortable that some of these might be tradable securities for me. I'm going to keep on clicking on this to update them as they come through. But like I say, nothing in here is really under $5, so I don't really worry about that. Now, the next step for me is, the easy thing would be to have my watches like this and just start running through on a daily time frame, which is where I do most of my analysis to begin with, and just click through. All right, I literally just go down the list like this, and if I find pictures that look good to me, or that kind of speak to me, then I'll make a note of it. Like for example, today on Netflix, NFLX, you've got a hammer formation, didn't quite come down into demand zone, which would have been nice, but it got close. And I'll a lot of times just run through. I like what I'm seeing on Netflix right now. Sorry, that previous one was not Netflix, that was Adobe. But I like the fact that Netflix looks like it's channeling sideways right now. So I'll just throw a little box on that bad boy. Where is my little drawing box? There it is. All right, you got this nice little range-bound market here. Okay, so that's just scanning and saying, let me just whittle down a giant watch list. And just for anybody's reference, see if I can bring it up for you here. And let's go to, I think I had a watch list one that we were using, but it's not there anymore. If you look at this watch list, this list of watch lists, which I will bring up here in just a second, just trying to find it, you can take any of these and import them into a market. So for example, this is the watch list document that I send out, and here I have all the components of XLE, or XLF or XLP. So you got staples, industrials, utilities, XRT. So I got retailers, I got infrastructure. And basically you could just copy the ticker symbols, copy and paste, drop them in, and good to go. And again, if you want that watch list, set of watch lists, it's not robust by any means. It's just something that I use. You can email me at TraderMerlin@gmail.com, and I'll be more than happy to send it out to you. So just let me know. Hey, Chris, good to see you, my friend. All right, so from there, now I take a deeper dive. That's the macro picture. How do we take the entire universe of stocks? And we could do the S&P 500, which would have been a lot more. I chose the NASDAQ 100 just because it's a smaller sample size. Now I go and say, what am I looking for per Justin's comma? What am I scanning for? Hammers, shooting stars, haramis, both bullish and bearish, are generally the four things I scan for every single day. And it's pretty easy in TradeStation to do. Once we have this average volume, I can theoretically just get rid of it. I don't really need this stuff anymore, but I'll leave it there. And I'm going to go in here and insert an analysis technique. And I'm going to go to shooting star. All right. Actually, you have to change your style to a show me. And there they are. It starts with C on TradeStation. And there's a hammer hanging man. And we'll just do shooting star. I won't do all of this stuff, but we'll just add in a bullish and a bearish pattern. All right. So now what's really kind of cool about this is the platform. And I'll admit it's not the best. It has problems. There's issues with the quality of how it's looking at formations, but it should pull up today on shooting star, which I'll Micron Technologies. So it's showing no Micron Technologies, probably because Micron is not a member of the NASDAQ 100. So let's add in Micron Technologies. And let me go back here and see if it shows as a shooting star. No. Wow, I'll show you that one here in a second. Micron has a gorgeous shooting star. So I'm going to double click the hammer header here, and you can see only one has a hammer formation. That is this guy right here, FISV. So I click on FISV, and there's what I get. Not the best hammer in the world, but certainly looking okay, right? And then I would want to, I'd want to go click out here and zoom out a little bit and see if it came into an area of demand, and maybe start building trades from that. So this is the basic steps that I like to look for as far as simple, draw my attention to something, right? That's awesome. Now, there's other things we can look at. And again, Justin, there's a lot of different patterns and formations. There's a website out there called Stock Fetcher, which you can bring up here. I'll bring it up for you guys. And here is Stock Fetcher. So Stock Fetcher has you can buy a version of this. Don't bother, okay? Just keep it weak. No reason to pay for this unless you really want to. But what you can do in here is you can kind of create your own scans and filters. Yes, there are ways we can scan, but it's not as robust, unfortunately, on CliK for now. Hopefully we'll get better over time. So I'm going to go in here, and you guys see candlesticks, just a little drop-down menu. So I can go and check for hammers and shooting stars. I also like specific price patterns. So let's look at price action. Let's see. This one doesn't have a descending triangle on it. So I thought they used to have a descending triangle on here, an ascending triangle. I'll show you another place to get those. But this is another resource for you. If you don't have scans and filters enabled, you can look for a variety of different parameters here, which may give you some trading and investing opportunities. We go further, go to FinViz, which I've used a ton. You'll notice right here on FinViz's page, you have wedge up, ascending triangle, descending triangles. I love this stuff because it gives you potential ideas. So for example, right now we are in a market that feels like it's just starting to roll over a little bit. So let's look at descending triangles, right? And again, when you look at this, a lot of them are going, what the hell are you talking about? That's not a descending triangle. Like this chart pattern here on CFIVU, that's not a descending triangle. That's just somebody gone flatline. I mean, there's nothing there. It's in a 30-cent range for the past year. Snooze fest, right? So I like to quickly run through and just see, do any of these look good? So maybe you thought Air Industries, Air I is a ticker symbol. You're like, oh, that looks like a descending triangle. Yeah, but it's at $1. You're never going to short a dollar stock. All right. ADPT, Adaptive Biotechnologies, which I can't trade because it's a biotech firm. You can see the breakdown actually happening just a couple days ago. Not a bad descending triangle. It meets all the criteria, which is lower highs and same lows. Same thing with MTBC. It really just looked like it was stuck on this price level for a long time, but it started to make some lower lows and broke down below it. And same thing on Redfin, RDFN. Again, just trading opportunities. So I think for a lot of you out there, you might be struggling with what am I looking for and where do I find opportunities. I just found things that I like. I love candlestick formations and I like chart patterns. I love ascending triangles, descending triangles, wedges, symmetrical triangles, flag patterns, these types of things. I don't think that they're what make you a good trader. It just says, how can I sift through this universe of garbage and find something that I could potentially make money on, either up, down, or sideways. So that's pretty much it. Let's see. So from there, where do I want to go? So Justin, that's pretty much it, right? As far as me and my patterns, that's scan each day. I do them at the end of the day. So after market close, I'll come in and I'll say, okay, here's a whole bunch of different things that Brandon says, Merlin, have you ever heard of anyone getting rich by shorting small caps? I have. There's one guy out there. I don't even want to mention his name because what I'd hate for you guys to do is go out there and give this guy support because, I don't know, he just reeks of being as shady as can be in my book. I just don't know. His name is Timothy Sykes. And Timothy Sykes, apparently that's what he does. He shorts penny stocks and he claims to have turned his bar mitzvah money of $12,000 into multi-millions. Now he just makes his multi-millions selling people penny stock picks. Don't fall for it, guys. If you think you're going to make a ton of money shorting penny stocks, you're fooling yourself. You might get lucky once or twice, but then ultimately you're probably going to end up being broke. So don't fall for it. All right. Don't worry if it gets a little loud in here, guys. We got the couches are coming in as we speak. Oh, the excitement. Second piece of this was from Jeff. Jeff, if you're here, I hope you're here because you sent this question and it's awesome. He says, and I quote, I think a good play with the infrastructure bill will be copper. When I go to the NASDAQ site and type in copper in the search bar, I get 6,470 results. How do I narrow these down? What's the best way to find the biggest copper stocks? Thanks, Jerry. That's a good laugh. He says, is he as good as Sam Sadden? That's pretty funny. I will leave my comments out of that. Mike, I think they've actually both been under investigation by federal regulators. So, it is what it is. Do your research and due diligence. So, for Jeff's question, I agree with you. We talked about this on the infrastructure show the other day where, you look at the different companies out there, whether they're doing heavy equipment or they're doing materials, the general thought is if infrastructure is going to grow, copper is going to be a big part of that. So awesome. The question I always have is it too late to buy now? Like, are you already, has it already been priced in? And I wanted to show a couple of quick charts here. And Brendan, you're probably going to love this because it has other commodities. But basically, there is a couple different ones here. Copper is in the middle top, right? And you can see that from 2020 to 2021, huge jump in price. So what you're looking at is the AICS, right? That's the all-in sustained cost. That's this the lower portion of the copper chart here. That's the AICS, meaning what is it costing to extract copper from the ground, period. Then the top part is with profit. Right, so how much profit is there? Notice that the price of copper is way higher now than what it's cost to extracting from the ground, and that is, to me a little concerning because I agree with you, Jeff. I think there's opportunity here, but are we chasing something? Now you look at other commodities. Look down here like uranium. I'm sure Brandon's going to be going, yes, uranium. You finally talked about uranium. Look at those margins. I mean, margins on uranium are really starting to rise. Prices have been going up significantly, but the cost to extract sustainium, your all-in sustained cost, is pretty much as flat as can be. A lot of these other ones like nickel, you look at gold. Gold's also been priced in a bit here and starting to move up a little bit. The one that's odd, and I've never actually traded zinc. I think I took some zinc pills when I had my COVID. Zinc right now all of a sudden showing some profit, but it was down in 2019, 2020. So I'll start there and just say, before we jump on anything, always look and see what's going on with that physical commodity, right? In this case, you wanted to talk about copper. Now we can go take a step back and look at the space of copper and say, okay, who are the big players? Who are the big mining companies? And is there opportunity there? All right, great. Oh, Margaret, I love that. That's a jab right there. QAnon is more trustworthy than Sam. Oh, boy, that's a good one. Okay, so where I would start with is this. Normally, when you look at, let's say, mining companies. So as Jeff pointed out, he says he looked and there were 6,470 results of mining companies on NASDAQ, or for copper companies under NASDAQ. Yeah, because that might have somebody in their description that says, we sell, copper fittings. Well, now all of a sudden they're part of that copper thing. You're looking at the raw base material. So what I would do first is I would go and look at two things. Number one, who are the biggest mining companies? Now, the problem there is they're catch-alls. So, if you go to biggest mining companies, I think you have, I think Rio Tinto is like number one on the list, biggest mining company in the world. But they're not the biggest with regards to copper. So I'll create two separate lists and say, here is the largest copper extractors, and then here's the largest mining companies. And maybe I can start to buy a mining company that has a big exposure to copper, right? It's kind of nice to know that your company might be somewhat diversified by having multiple metals. Now, the biggest one out there, we'll talk about crude oil here in a second. The biggest in the world, and I'm going to bring up a couple different charts here. So I'm going to start off with copper company. I'll start with the mining companies, and then I'll go to copper, all right? So let me go here and show you that one. So the first one, and one of the biggest mining companies in the world, is Rio Tinto. That's RIO. Of course, we talked about their chart. It really doesn't look good right now, right? Rio Tinto, for whatever reason, feels like it's just struggling. It's down, 30% since May. Now, that doesn't mean that they're dead in the water and you should run away from them. It just means something seems fundamentally broken if, in fact, a lot of natural resources have been, ripping to the upside. So be careful with that one. But that's your number one. As Ketut mentions, we've got Vale, or as the Spaniards would say twice very quickly for something that's good, Vale. So here's Vale, same basic chart, right? You've got huge decline in the price of Vale, going from about $23 all the way down to a low just last week of $11. That's a 50% drop in price here. At some point, I think we'd all agree, at some point, you may as well start adding some Vale or some Rio Tinto to your portfolio. It's just a matter of when, And maybe part of it is that some of these companies are not in the United States, right? Rio Tinto is not in the U.S., so we might be seeing more of a push towards domestic mining, which copper really isn't the biggest in the U.S., but there are some out there. I'll show you those in a second. So I'm going to go through the mining companies here. You've got Barrick Gold. Surprisingly, Barrick is in a whole bunch of different market segments. There's GOLD. No, this is not the right one. I want Barrick Gold. And there you go. Similar picture, steady decline from about $32, hit a low of $18 a couple months ago. Thanks 56 parallel. Rio Tinto is down due to iron ore prices dropping sharply. Yeah, I mean, again, you have to dig deeper into the scans and filters. The reason I'm bringing this up is, the gentleman was asking about, how do you find these things? Well, I make my own list. So I would go out and I'd say, here are the big mining companies, right? Like we mentioned Rio Tinto, Vale. I'll say a couple of others here real quick. You've got, actually, I'll just show you the charts here. And these are some of the biggest U.S. miners. FCX on the list, but I have FCX as a major copper one. They're the number 3 copper extractor. So I'm creating two categories. Mining companies overall. Anglo American is another one, but that's out of London. I don't know if I can get that chart here. Yep. Right. There's another one that's a pretty big mining company. You've got Teck Natural Resources as well as a pretty decent sized one. This one's looking much better. Why? I'd have to dig deeper into the fundamentals, which I don't have time to do on this show. So I've got that basic list of here's some of the bigger mining companies out there. For next, it's really important for me anyway to look and say, okay, who are the biggest copper miners? If that is in fact where Jeff wants to invest, you got to look at it and say, where's the biggest copper stuff? So, number one copper exporter in the world is not publicly traded. It's Codelco out of Chile, and it's run by the Chilean government. So, you can't trade that one. But number two on the list, we can trade. And that's going to be BHP Billiton out of Australia. They did 1.72 metric tons of copper, making it very close second place. Codelco did 1.73 million tons, or 1.73 million tons. BHP did 1.72. So this is probably the easiest one that you could buy. Brendan says most of the big mining companies are corrupt as F. All right, Brendan. Show me a company that doesn't have corruption in it. But yes, I agree with you. Mining's probably corrupt as hell. Financial firms are corrupt as hell. Governments are corrupt as hell. It's Serenity now. They're all corrupt. So BHP would be top of the list. Now, for me, this is where if you are specifically targeting copper, Jeff, or anybody else, I'd run through really four companies. It's BHP. We've got Freeport-McMoRan, which is FCX. I'm always a fan of Freeport-McMoRan. I like them. You have Glencore, which is, ticker symbol eludes me. I think it's GLNCY. Yeah, here's Glencore, which is a little more thinly traded. It doesn't have the volume as some of the other big guys, but they are a major player in the copper space with 1.26 million tons. And then the other one, which is out of Mexico. Okay, and by the way, BHP is Australia. FCX is US. You look at Glencore, GLNCY. This is out of Switzerland. And then you have Southern Copper, which is SCCO, I think, out of Mexico. Yeah, there's Southern Copper. And again, as Brennan says, anytime you deal with big money, you have corruption. And mining opens the door to some massive corruption and fraud as well. I think the movie was called Gold. It was a great movie a couple years ago called Gold, if I'm not mistaken. Am I right? You guys see the movie Gold? It was about just one of the largest fraudulent gold claims on Earth. You just never know. I mean, obviously, we like to take at face value the information that they give us, but remember, Vale, BHP, Glencore, Southern Copper, Rio Tinto, Barrick Gold, they're all trying to make money and trying to make as much money as possible. So, you can go into it knowing that, hey, these companies are the leaders right now in production and extraction of copper from the ground. That's going to be BHP, FCX, Glencore, and Southern Copper. And then maybe I can find other companies, maybe Rio Tinto. What percentage of their overall business is from copper, and I can diversify by buying Rio Tinto. Now, the thing that I would say here is if you're nervous about the mining side of it and the corruption, which Brendan rightfully points out, I mean, it's a trust factor. You could be looking at, there is a futures product out there, or that's actually an ETF or an ETN, CPER. Is one of them. And this United States Copper Index Fund, this simply tracks an index. So you don't have to deal with the political or shady side of mining companies. I didn't check and see what the fees are, but I'm pretty sure they're going to be elevated for CPER. Again, it's not the most liquid, but this is a way for you to buy into a copper fund, if you will. Now, one thing you can do, just to get an idea, bar chart has a really cool feature which I've shown you, and you can just type in CPER, and there's the U.S. copper. You go down here to constituents to get an idea of what's in it. Notice you've got, it's weird, it doesn't show percentages, but it's all got all kinds of weird stuff in here. Goldman's, government institutional bonds, you've got some copper, commodities, there's some futures I'm sure in here, so it's kind of weird. The structure of this one. The other one that you could look at is JJC, which is the IPATH copper subindex, and it's a similar picture. Constituents, it's just a subindex. So that's how I would do it, Jeff. I know that it didn't answer your question 100% directly, but what's the best way to find the biggest copper stocks in the world is to just dig. Go out to the internet and trust but verify. When you go and you start to make your watch list, what I'd like to do is I like create an Excel spreadsheet, and I'd say copper stocks, and I'll just start typing them in, and the next field over, I'll make notes to myself like, yeah, this one's good, but I can't trade it because it's government owned, or this one's real shady, or they got an investigation last year, and I can make little like my cheat sheet for copper companies, and that's how I would do it. You want countries that are financial allies of the U.S. Yeah, when we deal with these international companies, it's scary because they can very quickly cut off ties or shady stuff goes on. Anyway, there's my quick piece on filtering. We did a couple different filters and scans here. Now, let me go through and see if I can get these other questions out. It's funny because one couch box showed up, but it doesn't look like my couch. All right, I gotta go check this out. Manuel says, are there charts with long-term time history for bonds and technology stocks or ETFs? Dow Jones Industrial Average is trading in TradingView goes all the way back in the late 1800s. Yeah, so does the SPY, but the SPY wasn't around back then either. So as far as let me see my charts up here. As far as which platforms give you more data, TradingView is pretty good. The real answer to that one, Manuel, is it depends on what you're paying for data. Usually a lot of historic data, you start to have to pay for data feeds, and that's just kind of a pain in the butt. TradingView, I'm fine with TradingView until CliK has crypto and goes full live. I'll probably use TradingView from an analysis platform. I actually really like CliK, but TradingView has everything I need in one place for right now until we get CliK up there. So you could do DBC as well, right? So you have this is overall commodities, right? So this is not specifically copper, but yeah, heck yeah, it's in an uptrend market. Are you kidding me? Look at that bad boy. Yeah, they have to be some strong porch pirates. Each piece weighs 100 pounds, so it's I got power recliners, power headrests. I'm pretty sure. I wish this thing had like an ice maker and a beer tap in my couch. But yeah, DBC looking pretty good. It actually is forming a fairly bullish pattern, believe it or not. It's a bullish flag where you have a really aggressive move up, and then it slowly traverses down. In theory, you should be looking to buy the breakout of this downtrend line, which, may have just happened on today's trading activity. All right, so there's another question that came in here from Manuel, which was, what's the difference between treasury notes and treasury bonds, and do they move the same? Well, the big thing here with treasury bonds and treasury notes is maturity. So anything between 2 and 10 years are going to be treasury notes. 2 and 10 years is notes. Anything that's over 20 years is a bond. And that's just a way for them to classify. It's kind of it's a subgrouping, if you will. So that's pretty much it. That's the only real difference there. Do they move the same? In theory, they should move the same. Remember, the shorter end of the yield curve is more controlled by the Fed, so they'll kind of manipulate that one. The long end, which would be the 30-year bonds, that's a little bit more market supply and demand driven. Granted, the Fed does influence it, but not to the extent that they are doing in our short end of the yield curve. So that's pretty much it, Manuel. Quick and easy answers. All right, I'm going to do these ones rather quickly because I want to get out there and see what's going on with my damn couches. Tim says, could you speak about what crypto exchanges you use and hold assets in to gain interest? What criteria do you use to qualify them as reputable? I found a couple of exchanges that I don't think I have heard of. I heard you mention to pay interest, Nexo and Midas Investments. So this is a pretty easy one. I think when it comes to exchanges, we all have to look at our own local markets and say which ones are the most reputable in my area. As Brendan will tell you, Canadian markets are very different than the U.S. with regards to KYC, AML, and other pieces. So, and also Dubai. In Dubai, very different. You might not be able to use Kraken over there. I don't know. So, generally what I'm doing is I'm looking at who are the bigger players. Could I make an extra 0.5% or something on some fly-by-night, nobody's ever heard of this exchange? Sure. But I could also get ripped off much easier. So I want the big ones. My main criteria, I know this is going to be a weird one, I really want exchanges that are publicly traded. Coinbase. I hate to say it. I mean, they're one of the more expensive. Coinbase is the most expensive in the U.S. Coinbase Pro gets cheaper, but it's publicly traded. So I have that protection that regulators have gone in and vetted them a little bit. Whereas if I'm trading on something like KuCoin, I don't know. Who the hell knows what's going on with KuCoin? They're out of Singapore. Or Binance, right? Binance has all kinds of regulatory issues. So to me, it's really challenging to say, hey, this one's the best, right? If I'm going in the U.S., it's Coinbase, it's Kraken. I still don't like Gemini. But those would be my main two as an exchange. As Brendan says, it's very important to make sure they're compliant with local regulations and regulators, period. Ideally, you want them to be registered with the local authorities. So you look at Nexo. You mentioned two companies here. You mentioned Nexo and Midas Investments. Nexo is regulated. They're a Swiss market. They have documents filed with the regulators, etc., and they offer decent rates. Midas Investments, I don't think they're regulated anywhere. That right away would make me go, nope. And if you notice, Midas is actually offering like 18% for Bitcoin. That should also kind of be a red flag. When everybody else is offering, let's say 5 or 6% for Bitcoin yields, and they're giving 18, yeah, they're trying to lure you in with that flashy rate of return. So are they regulated? If the rates are too high, you should automatically look at that and go, okay, that's just not normal. Like getting 40% in some of these markets, you're like, wait, really? 40% rate of return? No, it's just too crazy. So that's that piece, Tim. And I have one more on crypto. I actually had a page up here, and it's funny because I don't talk about this stuff. I try not to be self-promoting, but why the hell am I not self-promoting? 1 second. So, ATN says, I heard you say the other day that crypto is the future. Do you teach anything for students who want to trade crypto? I do. I actually do. I create a program for Online Trading Academy, and this goes for everybody out there. You're all welcome to watch these for free. I think you have to sign in, but most of you are Online Trading Academy graduates anyway, so you probably have already seen these. I created it's 6 free videos. How crypto works, understanding blockchain technology, the transaction process, trading cryptocurrency, history of money and cryptocurrency, and the rise of DeFi. These are all free. You feel free to share with anybody you want, and I think it's a good, hey, get your mind wrapped around why this is potentially such a game changer. Now, is it the future? It's a part of our future. I don't want to say that this is absolute and everything else disappears. We will start to become a hybrid, and I think we'll be using more decentralized markets. That's why this rise of DeFi lesson here is, I love it. It just makes you realize how big this world of crypto can be. And then after that, if you like those, this is all Online Trading Academy, so it's nothing to do with me. I just built it and teach it. There's a 43 video series. It's all self-paced, and it gets 2 sessions per month where we talk about anything you want for an hour. And that is $2.99 for those 43 videos. And then, of course, there's the Crypto Investor Live, which I do 4 hours per week live, and that takes everything and just puts it into action. All right. That's it. That's my self-promotion. Again, if you're Online Trading Academy, contact your local center, or you can go to tradingacademy.com/crypto, which, of course, is in the link right there. Tokenization and Web 3.0 will eat the world. Well, when you say eat the world, it almost sounds like it's ominous. It will shape the world as we know it. It will absolutely change the way that things function and the way that it works. So I'm pretty excited about that. Here's something just so I wrap up here so I can get going. Web 1.0, when the internet was created back, we were using it in the early 90s. Granted, it was created before that, but let's say it was when it really began gaining traction in the 90s, it was used to collect information. It was designed to be a giant library of information. Web 2.0 connected, so Web 1.0 connected all the information. Web 2.0 connected all the people. Right now we're all glued to Instagram and Snapchat and TikTok videos. It's ridiculous. It drives me crazy. That's Web 2.0. Web 3.0 says we've already connected the information. We've already connected the people. Now let's connect all of the monetary systems and assets, which is why we're seeing non-fungible tokens, which is why you're seeing decentralized exchanges and marketplace and currencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and much more that are bringing all that together. So if you look at the small piece is gathering all the information, then you connect all the people, and now you're connecting all the value and money in the world. This is where it really starts to take off and things get absolutely massive. So I'm pretty excited about that. And again, I'm a firm believer in the crypto space. I think that it's riddled with fraud, it's riddled with scams and shit coins and rug pulls and things that could take every single penny of your life savings if you're not careful. But if you are careful and you allocate appropriately and you spread your bets around, I think there's some great opportunity out there. I mean, you look at so many of these things are just going nuts on a regular basis. Huge moves. All right, so let's see. Run real quick here as I wrap up. Ditch your bonds for Bitcoin. Yeah, ditch your bonds for Bitcoin. Who's holding Bitcoin? I mean, who's holding bonds? Come on. Oh, I'm going to get my 1.25 or 1.6% by holding a 10-year bond. Yeah, well, I'm going to make that in a month. I'm staking some other cryptocurrency. Forget it. So, the question that came through real quick from NJ. Good to see you, NJ, as well. He says, AMP, I'm assuming you want Ameriprise, or you're talking cryptocurrency AMP. You're talking cryptocurrency. So let's go to, let me see if I can get in here and get AMP. So, it's funny, you're like, oh, it went up 50% today. Yeah, but back here on the 29th of July, it went from 70 cents all the way down to 7 cents. 10 for one reverse split on that bad boy. What's my take on it? I think it looks terrible. I mean, this is a horrible looking chart. All right? This is the chart. Taking out that giant drop. This is chop. This is gambling. This to me is like buy the pullback, buy low. I really don't see a lot of clear opportunity here. When you look at some other ones, like, tell me which chart looks better from a predictability perspective. This one or, let's go, let me just go to my list. Render coin, for example. I've got a trend, strong, powerful, great. You look at that AMP token, didn't look too great. And even if it moves 50%, guys, if you look at like CoinMarketCap or something, this one's up 33,000% today, the solar energy token. Interesting. But notice over here on trending. Taboo token, shitcoin. Gaming Doge, shitcoin. King Shiba, shitcoin. Angry Squid, shitcoin. These are all going to go to zero at some point. All right? Just don't go to. So anyway, that AMP one just didn't look that good. And now, that said, NJ, could it be a great project and I just don't know about it? Absolutely. Man, there's 14,708 different cryptocurrency projects. I do absolutely not know them all. There's so much that they do. I do have a part of my portfolio in crypto that is designed for the gamble play. Roll the dice, boom, there you go. To me, that is the easy way. Just keep a small portion and play with it. Do not trade those types of things. King Shiba or Angry Squid token. 935% gain today for the Angry Squid token. Hey, here's where you can get humorous with it, guys. Here's the Angry Squid token, which is probably a knockoff of the Squid token. Up 935% today. You're like, wow, if I just put $100,000 in there. Yeah, okay, whatever. You wouldn't have. You go here to market, and it only traded $193,000 all day. In the entire world, Angry Squid token has only traded $193,000, and it's on one exchange which had a huge spread. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, you just got to be careful what we're buying out there. There's so much crap, so much junk, and unfortunately, this market is riddled with it. Let me see. Did I get everything? I had one last one because I want to just wrap this one up. Brandon asked, I'm thinking of buying Bitcoin. What's the best wallet? Again, this is a very difficult question. If you trust centralized exchanges, then you could put it on any exchange. Doesn't matter, right? If it's a custodial wallet. If you want non-custodial, which would be something like a Nano Ledger S, right? I always recommend cold storage, which would be something like this. It's called a Nano Ledger X. This is an S, but you can buy a Nano Ledger X. There's the Trezor. There's a few others out there that you could use. And that's where you keep all the private keys. No one can take this away from you. If your Bitcoin's on Coinbase or Kraken or Binance, in theory, government could come in there, shut them down, and take that cryptocurrency. So if you're worried about that type of thing, then I would go into a cold storage device. That could be a paper wallet, could be a hardware wallet like this, or even I do have some apps on my phone that are non-custodial, meaning I have the private keys. There's one called BRD Wallet. There's another one called Jax Liberty, which is okay. I like BRD better. But again, you have to kind of look and see what it is that you want to do with that cryptocurrency and how you want to store it. For me, I like to put at least, so half my Bitcoin right now is being put to work and earning. The other stuff is just on cold storage, not making anything. All right, let me wrap up here because I got to go and see what's going on with my couch over here. I got one box and the rest of it decided not to show up. Economic calendar for tomorrow, as you can see, quite a few things. Actually, no, this was today. What am I talking about tomorrow? Yeah, this was today. Actually, tonight, very important announcement. I know it doesn't sound like much, is this official cash rate for New Zealand. They're raising rates, right? They're the only country out there really that's raising rates, and they're raising aggressively. Right now they're expecting it to jump 25 basis points on the meeting tonight, yet there's a lot of chatter about it jumping to a full 1 point, meaning a 50 basis point increase. It's kind of an interesting one because the U.S. may be following because New Zealand is trying to combat inflation as we are. This is what's happening for today with regards to earnings. Best Buy and Medtronic reported. I wanted to look at this one because Nordstrom's reported and they got crushed, man. Down 21% on trading today after market close. Remember, Macy's beat as well and they were soaring. So very different between Macy's and Nordstrom's in that sibling rivalry, if you will. Now, for tomorrow, you can see we start things off at 5:30 in the morning Pacific time with preliminary GDP expected to rise at 2.2%. We also have durable goods orders and unemployment claims for the U.S. and wholesale inventory. So a pretty big day for the U.S. And then it's not over. You have new home sales, personal income, personal spending, all this stuff, natural gas, crude oil inventories. It's a big day because obviously tomorrow is, the day before Thanksgiving, which means the markets are closed on Thursday. And that's it. All right, cool. You could lose an arm and a leg in the Squid Game. You guys are entertaining. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for me for today's show. Again, thanks for all the questions, for those of you who sent them in. If you have something you want me to discuss on tomorrow, maybe we'll have a lighthearted. I have a feeling I'm going to take Thursday, Friday off, so tomorrow will be the last show of the week. So I'll have a nice little glass of whiskey with you if you like. So make sure you guys let me know what you want to talk about. TraderMerlin@gmail.com is the easiest way to let me know what you want to discuss. Send them on in, and hopefully we'll get to all that on tomorrow's show. That said, thanks, everybody. Have a fantastic remainder of your evening. Watch out for that New Zealand dollar. I'll see you tomorrow.